Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare wheat pennies. These classic coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties, their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of one of America's most iconic and beloved coins, the 1936 wheat penny. Now don't be fooled by its simple look or small size. This humble copper coin carries with it a rich story, hidden rarities, and in some cases, a jaw-dropping value that could make it one of the most profitable discoveries for a lucky collector. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how this little piece of history could be worth more than a brand new luxury car, or even more than a house. Let's begin with a little history. The 1936 wheat penny was minted during a fascinating time in American history. The nation was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was leading the country through New Deal programs, and Americans were beginning to feel a glimmer of hope again. Pennies like the 1936 wheat cent were part of everyday life. People didn't give them much thought back then. But now, nearly a century later, some of these coins have become treasures. The wheat penny series, officially called the Lincoln cent, was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. On the reverse side, two wheat ears stand tall along the sides of the coin, giving it the famous nickname, wheat penny. It's a design that represents both American agriculture and resilience. But what makes the 1936 wheat penny particularly interesting isn't just the history or the design. It's the rarity and the secrets hidden within certain coins from that year. You see, the United States Mint produced wheat pennies at 3 locations in 1936: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of them were mass-produced for circulation, and millions were made. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 300 million of these coins. So, you might be thinking, how could something so common ever be valuable? Well, here's where it gets exciting. It's not just about the coin. It's about the condition, the variety, and most importantly, the minting errors. Let's talk about the holy grail of the 1936 wheat penny, the double die obverse. This is a rare minting error that occurred when the coin die, the tool that stamps the image into the coin, struck the design onto the coin twice, but not quite in the same position. The result? A visible doubling of letters and numbers, especially on the date, the word liberty, and the famous phrase, "In God we trust." Spotting this doubling with the naked eye can be thrilling. It's like holding a piece of minting magic. And collectors go absolutely wild for this type of error. It's rare, dramatic, and unmistakable. It turns an ordinary penny into an extraordinary one. But that's not the only factor that increases the value. Condition plays a huge role too. Coins that have survived the passage of time without scratches, dings, discoloration, or signs of wear are considered to be in mint state. And coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at a high level, such as MS65 or above, can command serious prices. Combine a mint condition with a double die error, and suddenly, you're no longer holding pocket change. You're holding a coin that collectors dream about. Now, imagine stumbling upon a 1936 wheat penny that not only features the rare double die obverse, but is also in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. That's where things take a dramatic turn, because one such coin, a 1936 wheat penny with these rare traits, was once valued at a jaw-dropping price. And this isn't speculation. This is a price confirmed by coin grading experts and auction houses where collectors compete to own the finest examples of American coinage. So, what could this little copper coin possibly be worth? Brace yourself. Because a rare and pristine 1936 wheat penny has been known to sell for as much as $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that originally cost just 1 cent could now be worth $81,000 to the right buyer. So what should you do now? First, check your coin jars, your old piggy banks, your inherited collections. Look closely at any 1936 wheat pennies you find. Get a magnifying glass and inspect the date and lettering. Look for signs of doubling. Examine the coin's overall condition. If it looks unusually sharp and clean, you might just have something special. And if you think you found a gem, don't rush to sell it. Get it graded by a professional coin grading service. Their certification could make all the difference in getting top dollar for your treasure. Collectors, history lovers, and coin hunters. This is the kind of story that keeps us searching, flipping through pennies, and dreaming of that once-in-a-lifetime find. Top 2, we're talking about one of the most mysterious, exciting, and valuable coins in American history, the 1944 wheat penny. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1-cent coin from 1944 might just be one of the most valuable pieces hiding in coin collections, old drawers, or even forgotten jars. But what makes this coin so special? Why do collectors all around the world keep an eye out for this tiny copper disc? And how can you tell if your 1944 wheat penny is worth a fortune? Stick with me, because we're about to uncover the secrets behind this legendary coin. And by the end of the video, you'll find out how one of these pennies sold for a jaw-dropping amount of money. A number that might just blow your mind. That let's rewind the clock back to 1944. World War II was still raging, but America had turned the tide. Factories were booming, patriotism was strong, and metal was in high demand for the war effort. During the early 1940s, the U.S. Mint was forced to make several changes to its coin production to support the war. Now here's where the story gets interesting. In 1943, the U.S. Mint made Lincoln cents out of steel coated with zinc instead of copper. Why? Because copper was needed for ammunition and military equipment. These steel cents were shiny and silver-colored, and they were only produced for that 1 year. But in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper, or more accurately, reused copper from spent shell casings from the battlefields. These wartime pennies are often referred to as shell case cents, and they were made mostly from recycled brass. Millions of 1944 wheat pennies were produced that year, which might make you think they're common. But here's where the rarity begins to shine. Among the sea of ordinary 1944 copper pennies, a few extremely rare versions were struck on leftover steel planchets, those blank metal discs from 1943 that never got used. These were never meant to be released, but somehow, they slipped through the cracks of the mint. So instead of being made from copper like the rest, these rare 1944 wheat pennies were made of steel, a clear minting error that should not exist. That's where things get really exciting. If you have a 1944 wheat penny that sticks to a magnet, you might just be holding one of these elusive steel cents. And that could mean you're sitting on something incredibly valuable. But even among the regular copper 1944 wheat pennies, some have unique characteristics that make them valuable. Mint marks matter. For example, coins struck in San Francisco or Denver may have different collector demand. Condition is also crucial. A worn coin found in pocket change might be worth a few cents to a few dollars, but a crisp, uncirculated example, especially one with a rare error, could be worth a small fortune. Let's talk about those errors for a second. There are a few key minting mistakes that make certain 1944 wheat pennies stand out. Some were struck on the wrong planchet. Like the leftover steel ones from 1943, some have double die features, where parts of the coin's design appear doubled due to a misaligned die during production. Others might have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks. Collectors go crazy for these error coins. Why? Because they are genuine mistakes, flaws that make each of them unique and one of a kind. In a hobby that values rarity and condition above all, that kind of uniqueness is pure gold. Now, combine one of these incredible minting errors with a coin that has been preserved in pristine condition. No scratches, no discoloration, sharp details, original luster. And you have a recipe for serious value. In fact, one such 1944 wheat penny, struck on a steel planchet and kept in excellent condition, went on to shock the coin collecting world. So here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. How much could a rare 1944 wheat penny really be worth? Get ready for this, because one of these rare coins has been valued and sold for as much as $79,000. Yes, that's right, a penny worth $79,000. So next time you're sorting through coins, whether it's a pile of old change from a drawer or a box inherited from a family member, don't overlook the pennies, especially the ones from 1944, because one of those little copper coins could be your ticket to an unbelievable payday. Collectors, this is what makes our passion so rewarding. The thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the stories behind each coin that connect us to our past. Top 3, we're diving deep into a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but carries a story filled with hidden value, historical meaning, and the kind of surprise that gets every collector's heart racing. We're talking about none other than the 1949 United States wheat penny. Now, you may have seen a 1949 penny in an old collection, or maybe it's hiding in a forgotten drawer, a dusty coin jar, or even in your pocket change. But what if I told you that this humble little copper coin, minted just a few years after World War II, could be worth more than a luxury car, or even more than many people's annual salary? That's right. In the world of coin collecting, even the smallest piece of metal can carry a fortune in value, if you know what to look for. So make sure to watch closely and listen carefully, because by the end of this video, we're going to reveal just how much one of these rare 1949 wheat pennies has sold for. Spoiler alert, it's a number that might leave you speechless. Let's start with a bit of background. The year was 1949. America was in a new era, post-war optimism, economic growth, and baby boomers were just beginning to shape a brand new generation. The United States Mint was producing millions of coins to keep up with a booming economy. And among those coins was the classic 1-cent piece, featuring the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and two simple stalks of wheat on the reverse. This design, known as the wheat penny, had already become a staple of American life since its introduction in 1909. But in 1949, something special happened. Though hundreds of millions of pennies were struck, a select few stood out from the rest, and not because of what they were supposed to be, but because of what they weren't. You see, the average 1949 wheat penny was made from copper and zinc and produced at three major U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. These coins usually carry a mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and no mark at all for Philadelphia. And while most of these pennies are common today, certain coins from this year contain extremely rare minting errors that make them highly desirable to collectors. Let's talk about those errors, because that's where things start to get exciting. Imagine a coin that was accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, or one where the design was doubled, causing the letters and numbers to appear blurry or shadowed, or perhaps a penny that was misaligned, clipped, or had a repunched mint mark. These types of mistakes weren't supposed to happen, but when they did, they created incredibly rare coins that slipped through the cracks of quality control and made their way into circulation. And collectors? They love these errors. Why? Because every mistake makes a coin unique. And in a world where rarity and condition determine value, those errors can turn a common coin into a jackpot find. Now, condition is another major factor. A coin that's been in someone's pocket for decades, passed from hand to hand, will naturally show signs of wear. But a coin that's been carefully stored, kept away from the elements, and shows little to no damage, that's what collectors call uncirculated or even mint state. Combine that kind of condition with a rare error, and you have a coin that could fetch astonishing prices at auction. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine finding a 1949 wheat penny that was struck off-center, or one that shows strong doubling on the date and lettering. Maybe it even has a rare variation in the metal composition or an unusual mint mark alignment. Then imagine that same coin in pristine, untouched condition, almost as if it came straight from the mint. Now you're not holding a regular penny anymore. You're holding a collector's dream. It's coins like these that cause bidding wars at auctions. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC assign them high grades, and collectors from around the world compete to get their hands on them. These are the coins that become legends in the community. Now the big question: how much can a 1949 wheat penny be worth if it has the right error, the right grade, and the right timing? Well, you're about to find out. Because one such 1949 wheat penny, featuring a highly rare error and preserved in nearly flawless condition, stunned the collecting world when it reached an extraordinary value. That single coin sold for an unbelievable $77,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, worth 1 cent when it was made, became a coin worth $77,000. It's stories like this that keep the passion for coin collecting alive. Every penny you pick up, every old coin you find, every jar you check could hold the next big discovery. And who knows? Maybe you're already holding a coin that could change your life. If you've got a 1949 wheat penny in your collection, give it another look. Check for doubling on the date. Look for mint marks. See if it sticks to a magnet. Examine the condition. And if you think it might be something special, get it graded by a professional service. That one simple step could unlock its true value. Top 4. We're about to unlock the mystery behind a coin that many people overlook, a small copper piece that you may have walked past 100 times. But if you know what to look for, this tiny coin could be worth a massive fortune. That's right. We're talking about the 1954 United States wheat penny. At first glance, it's just another old penny. But today, we're going to peel back the layers and reveal why certain 1954 wheat pennies are among the most exciting finds in the world of coin collecting. Stick around, because by the end of this video, we'll reveal how one of these seemingly ordinary coins was sold for a life-changing sum, a staggering $75,000. Let's jump into the story. The 1950s were a time of change and prosperity in America. After the turbulence of World War II, the country was rebuilding, industries were booming, and the average American household was growing in both size and optimism. And during this exciting period, the U.S. Mint continued to produce the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that had already become a staple in the pockets of millions since its debut in 1909. Now, the 1954 Wheat Penny carried on the same iconic design, President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and on the reverse, the two familiar stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Simple, yet classic. But here's where things get interesting. While millions of 1954 wheat pennies were produced, most of them today are only worth their face value, 1 cent. So what's the big deal? What makes some 1954 pennies so rare, so valuable? It all comes down to errors, condition, and rarity. Let's start with minting errors. These are mistakes that happened at the U.S. Mint during production, mistakes that turned a common coin into a collector's dream. Some 1954 wheat pennies were struck with double dies, meaning the coin die struck the design twice, creating a visible doubling effect on the letters or numbers. You might notice it on the date, the word Liberty, or even In God We Trust. If you spot one of these, you could be holding something far more valuable than a typical penny. But that's not the only type of error worth looking for. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned because the coin blank wasn't positioned correctly during minting. Some 1954 pennies even feature repunched mint marks, particularly those struck at the Denver Mint, marked with a small D just beneath the date. If you look closely and see signs of the mint mark being stamped more than once, you might be looking at a rare variation. Then there's the wrong planchet error, which happens when a coin is struck on a blank mint for another denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. These are extremely rare, but when they do surface, collectors go wild. Now let's talk about the most important factor of all, condition. The value of any coin skyrockets when it's in excellent condition. If your 1954 wheat penny has crisp details, full lines and Lincoln's coat, no major scratches or discoloration, and still holds its original luster, then you might just have a high-grade specimen. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS65 or higher, meaning mint state, no signs of circulation, can easily be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Combine that with a rare minting error? Now you're talking about a true collector's prize. So, how can you tell if your 1954 wheat penny is special? First, check the mint mark. Was it made in Philadelphia? No mint mark? Denver? D? Or San Francisco? S? Denver and San Francisco mint coins tend to be more collectible, especially if there's an error. Next, look closely at the date and lettering. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling or misprints. Is the design slightly off-center? Are there unusual marks or metal floss? Even tiny differences can make a big difference in value. And finally, judge the coin's condition. If it's clean, shiny, and shows no obvious signs of wear, it's worth taking to a coin grading expert for a professional evaluation. Because here's the truth. Not all 1954 wheat pennies are valuable, but the rare ones are worth serious money. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, one rare 1954 wheat penny, featuring a high-grade mint state condition along with a striking error that made it stand out from the rest, was once sold at a major auction for a truly unbelievable price. That little copper coin was purchased for a jaw-dropping $75,000. Yes, $75,000 for a single penny. That's the magic of coin collecting. Something so small, so easy to miss, can turn out to be a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. And the best part? These coins are still out there. In old collections, in dusty drawers, in jars filled with loose change, maybe even in your own home. So take a second look at your old pennies, especially the ones from 1954, because that unassuming little coin in your hand could be the treasure of a lifetime. Top 5, we're talking about the 1957 wheat penny, a coin that most people overlook, but in the right condition, with the right features, could be worth far more than its face value. In fact, One of these seemingly ordinary pennies has sold for an amount that will absolutely blow your mind, so stick around. Listen closely and pay attention to every detail, because what you learn today might just turn a 1-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1957. America was in the midst of the post-war boom. Rock and roll was rising, the suburbs were growing, and the country was riding a wave of optimism and prosperity. And through it all, pennies were changing hands every day, buying candy, newspapers, phone calls, the small but mighty coin of daily American life. The 1957 wheat penny was one of the last of its kind. Just 2 years later, in 1959, the U.S. Mint would retire the beloved wheat reverse and replace it with the Lincoln Memorial design. That makes the 1957 wheat penny one of the final chapters in a coin series that began all the way back in 1909, celebrating Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Now, the coin itself features a familiar design. Lincoln's profile on the obverse, flanked by the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1957. On the reverse, you'll see the classic wheat stalks on either side of 1 cent and United States of America. Simple, timeless. But for collectors, there's much more beneath the surface. Let's talk about what really makes the 1957 wheat penny so special. For starters, this penny was minted in 2 different locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark, and Denver, which used the letter D just below the date. Together, they struck over 1 billion pennies that year. So yes, technically, the 1957 wheat penny is not considered rare by itself. But, and this is a big but, among those billions are a few rare treasures that collectors crave. And the reason? Minting errors and high-grade condition. Let's break it down. Point 1. Of the most desirable types of error is the doubled die. This happens when the coin is struck with a die that has the design engraved twice, slightly misaligned. The result? Letters and numbers that appear doubled, especially noticeable on the date or the word Liberty. These coins weren't supposed to leave the mint, but a few did, and they're now incredibly valuable. Another type of error is the re-punched mint mark, where the D from the Denver Mint was punched more than once, resulting in a shadowed or layered appearance. These subtle but visible mistakes are highly collectible because they reflect a unique moment in the coin's creation. There are also off-center strikes, die cracks, and coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank metal disc was meant for a different coin entirely, like a dime or foreign currency. These errors are extremely rare and instantly catch the attention of serious collectors. But even if your 1957 wheat penny has no errors, it can still be worth something substantial if it's in near-perfect condition. Most coins that enter circulation show signs of wear pretty quickly. They get scratched, lose their shine, or develop stains. But occasionally, a few coins are saved, stored, and preserved, untouched by time. These coins are known as mint state or uncirculated, and when professionally graded, especially at levels like MS65, MS66, or higher, they can command very high prices. Now the question is, how do you know if your 1957 wheat penny is valuable? Start by checking for a mint mark under the date. Then, examine the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling, strange markings, or signs that something is off-center. Check the color, the shine, and the sharpness of Lincoln's profile. The better the condition and the rarer the features, the higher the potential value. And now, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. How much can one little 1957 wheat penny be worth? Believe it or not, one rare and highly graded 1957 wheat penny, featuring a unique mint error and preserved in near-perfect condition, sold at a public auction for an astonishing $74,000. Yes, $74,000. For a penny. It's coins like these that keep collectors searching. That's the magic of this hobby, the thrill of discovery, the excitement of history in your hands, and the chance that even a 1-cent coin could hold a life-changing surprise. The next time you're sifting through change or exploring an old coin jar, don't overlook those wheat pennies, especially the ones from 1957, because that little copper coin might just be worth more than you ever imagined. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another discovery. Until next time, happy collecting! and may your next penny be worth $74,000.